WGNW 95.7, The Choice.
The Choice come to you live from our studio here, 81 Patton Avenue, the Asheville Radio Cafe. And we got a full house here tonight, really cozy, and got some very, very special guests, not only here for interview, but also going to be taking the stage here in a little while. We've got one international guest, one local, and one guy from Nashville. If you've been watching our Facebook, you've seen some of the posts that Ryan Larkins is in town. For those of you who were ever part of one of the past Lake House music concerts right here next to the studio in Pritchard Park, you might have caught one of Ryan Larkins' show. Plus, he's played around town a few times, but he's been busy back in Nashville building his family, got a new addition. But we are thrilled to have him in the studio, in the house tonight. So, Ryan, welcome.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Okay, very, very cool. What brings you to town? You got hooked up with my friend Andy here,
Yes,
so
sir.
I don't know. It looks like trouble to me.
It is. It's trouble.
sir.
It's big trouble. I'm here with Andy, and I'm going to be playing at Trinity of Fairview tomorrow morning at 9:30 and also at 11. And I'm also going to do a concert tomorrow night at their church at 5 o'clock.
You know, you got to say this for Andy. He gets his
Okay.
money's worth.
Oh.
So he's got you doing 2 in the morning,
Yes,
1 in
sir.
the evening. You know, the guy will work you to death.
That's okay. That's okay. That's what we're here for.
That's right. That's right. So, Andy, good to have you. I know I've been pushing and prodding and twisting your arm to come into the radio station. I'm really so glad that you're here as well. Before we start with interview with Ryan, doing a couple of songs, we need an update. As some folks know, you've been hammering away at a no pun intended on the orphanage there in Honduras.
Yes, sir.
So give us an update. You know, how's things going? You know, you definitely get the medal for perseverance and having a vision and staying with it and being really diligent and faithful to you know, to see this thing come through. So how are things going?
You know, God's been so good to us. Just a couple of guys from Barnardsville and Weaverville got together just 3 short years ago after building a church in a little town called San Francisco around Lake Jehoa, and had a vision to do something that would impact the community, impact the children, and prayed about where God would send us. Next thing you know, we're standing on a little 5-acre piece of cornfield, and just wondering what God was going to do and if anything would ever come of this piece of property. And a year and a half later, we've got a roof built, all the block work's finished, the electrical is about halfway done. And during that process, we've seen 2 new houses built, a couple of kitchens repaired, and most of all, we've seen people come to know the Lord. And that's what it was all about. You know, the carpenter's heart has been hard at work on a building, but really it's about seeking God's will, whether that be in Honduras or here in downtown Asheville, just like the choice. It's all about giving God the glory and just saying yes when He asks, "Follow me."
Amen. For sure, for sure. I know that the trip that you allowed me to go on, that you blessed me with to go with you a couple of years ago now, really just changed me in a profound way. And you know, those are memories. I mean, it just becomes part of who you are. And you know, Sheila, who was building
Yes.
the medical clinic, she's been up here a couple of times, and always try to twist her arm as well to get her on the air and talk about what's going on with her. So just tremendous, tremendous stuff. Take a second and introduce your guest here, too, while you're at it.
Definitely. When we started going down, of course, one of the barriers that you have is language. So we got in touch with a man by the name of Walter Suniga. I hope I said that right. And on one of our trips, he introduced us to his nephew, Mr. Luis Luna. And from the first time we met him, you could just tell that God had anointed him, not just to translate, but to speak his message. And I truly count him as one of my dearest friends in the world. So it's a privilege to be here with him today.
Well, Luis, what do you think? You made a couple of trips up to the States here in the past, haven't you? You've been up here before, so you're back again, and you're part of the family. You can't get rid of you now.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think that a couple of years ago, we met at the parking lot of the mall in my city, and so God's been good to me by allowing me to meet you guys, and it's just amazing to be a part of it. It's amazing to contribute what he has allowed me to learn, which is another language. And we were having a conversation a couple of months ago that while I was taking English lessons, I didn't know why I was going through all of that, and it's like it's kind of. I was in that spot where I just didn't know. I was just going because my dad was paying for them. And a couple of, I would say, a couple of months ago, in one of the trips, I was interpreting for this minister. He was there, Mr. Jesse Looney, and he was officiating the Lord's Supper. He was having a communion service with a family there. And I just couldn't hold it, and I broke down in tears because at that moment it kind of dawned on me that it was for this reason, for this purpose that God had allowed me.
Oh, that's cool. That's awesome. That's all. What's been the hardest thing about English? I mean, sometimes the rules of language in English make sense, and sometimes they make absolutely no sense in the world. So what's the hardest thing about learning English for you?
Well, I thought I could speak English till I came to the South.
well, I'm a Yankee, so don't feel bad, because it's a whole nother language here. So don't feel so bad.
I thought, I realized I had to unlearn and then relearn.
But he's doing well.
Yeah, okay. There's some expressions I had a real tough time with, like when something's not going to operate properly, it's that dog don't hunt.
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. But okay, I'll play along.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
So there's a few like that, but it's. Yeah. But you have that. I mean, in your different regions of a country will have different sayings and different dialects and all kinds of different things, and it's tough being the right one all the time. But so I better move on. I'm in dangerous territory here. I better move on. All right, we're going to come back, talk a little bit more about Honduras in a couple of minutes, and now I'm going to pick on Ryan for a little bit.
Okay.
Ryan, it's so good to see you. It's been, oh my gosh.
It's been too long.
It's been way, way too long.
Years.
And I told this story to some of the folks here at the cafe a little bit earlier, and I'll probably tell it tonight when we introduce your set. And I know you've heard this a million times, but poor Ryan, when I used to do the pro-life concerts, I would drag this poor guy all over the place, and he never complained. Even like to New York, and just horrendous flight schedules and weather, and down here, of course, over here to North Carolina, Ryan would always say, "I'm just glad to be here." Just a real sweet, humble spirit. But I'm going to flip that around tonight because, Ryan, we're really glad that you're here.
And thank you so
really
much. It's an
to
honor to be here with you.
You build relationships. So, sometimes just in you walk with the Lord, you have relationships, and for a period of time, you're working really, really tight together. And then, not that anything goes wrong, just God takes you individually into different places. But when you come back together, you get to reminisce and talk about, the cool things that God has done. And it's just amazing. And those relationships just go on for years and years, even though, there may be long periods of time where you're not in that constant communication. Sure. But it's just a joy to be able to kind of do that stuff. Yes, so enough of my blabbering. Before we break up the tissues, Ryan, what are you going to do for us? I've got a couple of songs in your playlist, but I'm going to open it wide for you now.
Well,
and just whatever's on your heart to play, but you got to tell us about it before you play it.
Okay. Well, I think I'll play "Follow Me" just because it kind of goes with the theme of what everybody's been talking about so far, just taking Christ outside of the four walls of the church and taking Him into the world and just sharing our faith with others. So that's just basically what this song talks about. So I'm just going to do that.
Cool. You're listening to 95.7 The Choice, coming to you live from the Asheville Radio Cafe right here at 81 Patton Avenue. And go ahead, take it away, Ryan.
If you're in a church, if you're on the street, if you're stuck in rehab, or if you've been set free, if you're running from Him, or if you're on your knees, it doesn't matter to me, 'cause he said I am walking beside them. And if you believe, pick up your cross and follow me. If you wake up from your sleep and you're met with an urgent need, if it all goes wrong and your love passes on and you're left here to grieve, he said I am walking beside them. And if you believe, pick up your cross and follow me. Oh, follow me. Buildings cannot contain, people can't take away, nothing can separate us from the I am, the I am. Walking beside them. And if you believe, pick up your cross and follow me. Oh, follow me.
Awesome. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
That's beautiful. I never get sick of hearing that song.
Thank you so much. I think it was a gift from God for sure.
I never get tired of listening to that song. That's just such an awesome song. Did that one come like with a lot of effort, or did that one just sort of drop out of the sky into your lap?
It kind of just dropped out of the sky, really. And I've written songs that just take days and months, and sometimes I think the best songs just kind of happen and just fall right into your lap, just like you say.
Absolutely. Out of all the interviews that I do, and I mean, there's only so many different questions you can ask every time an artist is in, even though you try to mix it up and ask some questions and try and there's just some similarities and questions that you can't avoid. But what you just said is so consistent that some of the best songs, and you do enough of these, that when I hear a song and then I ask that question, I can almost guess at what the answer is.
Sure.
Before, because the song just sounds like it's a complete package and didn't have to be, the scripture talks about things as far as like altars and things that are built out of rocks, not hewn with human hands. And that's what I always relate it to, is that, us being living stones, we're sort of hewn by his hand and not by a man's hand. And so you get that image in your head of an altar, which is our offering to him, built out of stones that we didn't kind of build ourselves. And I think of that every time I get an answer to that question. It's like, well, this is an offering to him, but I didn't make the stone. I didn't hew them with a hammer and chisel.
Right.
They just I just picked up the rocks and they just kind of fell into place all by themselves.
Sure.
And then the song just stands out like that, like, wow. So very cool.
Thank you.
Very
so much.
cool. What else are you going to do for us?
Well, I could do Always Been Loved, or I could do a new song, which actually this is if I do that song, it'll be a song that I had the chorus for a long time, and then
Ah,
a year
okay.
later, I was writing with a guy in Nashville about a month ago. We were writing a country song, and it just wasn't coming together, and so we took a break. I just started playing this chorus that I had, and he said, "What is that?" So I played it for him, and he said, "We need to write that. Let's stop what we're doing. Let's write that song." So we wrote that song, and it kind of just came together. I can do that song, or
Okay,
I can do.
we can do Always in Love, but we'll do that later on. Let's see.
Okay.
Let's do the new one. We want to give
Let me
a little showcase for the new one.
do a little tuning here, because last time it was a little out.
And I know it's not right to envy something, but I am totally envying that brand new Gretsch guitar.
Thank you. I'm proud of it. I'm very proud.
Okay, I'll keep it here for you for the next time you come by.
I don't know. I can't live without it.
All right, you're listening to 95.7 The Choice, and we've got a full house here. We're coming to you live, an interview with Ryan Larkins, and we also have Andy here from Trinity of Fairview, as well as Luis, all the way from Honduras. So it's going to be a great night. I'm really, really looking forward to it. This is going to be one of those very, very special nights to have some good friends and some great music. So Ryan Larkins.
I've been running for such a long time, trying to find my own way. I've been slipping too many times. The only thing that's left to do is pray, pray. Change me, oh, won't you change me from who I am to who you want me to be. I'm tired of being myself, want the world to see someone else. Oh Lord, make me more like you. I've been trying to figure it out, but the answer's not hard to find. Just need a little faith and a little less doubt. Lord, can I ask you one more time to change me? Oh, won't you change me from who I am to who you want me to be? I'm tired of being myself, want the world to see someone else. Oh Lord, make me more like you. I belong, and change me, oh, won't you change me from who I am to who you want me to be? I'm tired of being myself, want the world to see someone else. Oh Lord, make me more like you.
Love it.
Thank
Love
you.
it. Nice. Nice.
very
Is that
much.
recorded yet, or is that just something you just finished?
It's kind of just finished work tape. Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing.
All
Nothing
right.
fancy.
Very
but
cool.
it's-
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Very, very nice. Very nice. All right, we're going to give you a break for a minute. I'm going to
Okay.
go back and shift gears and pick on Andy a little bit. You are like the busiest man on the planet.
You know, I was just
I
listening
wanna
to
know-
that. I was listening to that song and just thinking, you know, that's where I was, and that's where I still am today. It's a miracle that
you
God
know-
would use anybody like me, but that's what He wants to do in all of our lives.
Amen.
That's right.
Amen. But you know, I'm not trying to, you know, give you a big head or anything. But Andy's one of those guys. You know, he'll open up to do, and I found this out when we were down in Honduras. He'll open up and say, you know, I don't have it. I don't know what God, you know, wants me to say, and he'll act like he's struggling with something, and then he'll just like blow you away with like some teaching or sermon. I don't know. It's just, but I know the feeling because that's what God does when He sort of takes over. But from the viewer's point of view, it's always like, oh, you set me up.
I think it's a lot like Ryan was talking about with that song. When God gives you
Yeah.
something, it's obvious that it's from Him.
Yeah, and your journey, and we should talk about that a little bit. Your journey, when I first met you, you were still working for AT&T,
Yes, sir.
and just like dipping your toe in the water. I mean, you had the youth group and some other things, but when I look back, I mean, that's only a few years ago.
Yes,
When
sir.
I look back to the days when you're still with AT&T and the things that you're doing now, God's done some cool. I mean,
What a
you know,
journey. Yeah.
Honduras, and then hurricane victims up in New Jersey. Even though us New Yorkers like to pick on everybody from New Jersey, I'll cut you a little slack on that because, you know, there's sort of that rivalry between the two states.
Yeah, it's
But and now you're talking about Haiti.
yes,
So,
sir. Yes, sir. It's like you say. I worked for the phone company for 12 years, and I came to know the Lord at a fairly young age while I was in college, and I felt a tug on my heart to go into mission work, and I just said, I'm not worthy, God. I can't. I'm not smart enough. I can't speak. I can't sing like Ryan, or I can't translate like Luis. I don't have any of those talents, and you can't use me. And after many years, I'll be honest, I picked a trip that was destined to fail. I went with a friend of my wife's that actually went to prom together. Didn't know him hardly at all. I went to a country where I didn't speak their language. And I thought, God, I'm going to prove you wrong. That was my thought. And I'll be honest with you.
how was that working for you?
Well, at first
years later.
At first it was great. I've told Luis before, we arrived at San Pedro at almost midnight, and I hopped into the back of an '88 Ford Ranger for an hour-and-a-half ride in the rain to a little village, and I was looking square at a gentleman who spoke no English at all. And on the way out there, I thought, God, I told you this trip wasn't for me. And we got there, and the supplies that we had sent down were still on a boat in Charleston. And again, I said, God, this wasn't for me. And the next night, I sat down on a little piece of block. They say it was a church. All it was a roof. In the pouring rain, and people just started appearing from nowhere, walking. We showed the Jesus video that night, and I remember sitting on that block, and a little girl named Nicole, who was 5 years old at the time, she walked up and tapped me on the shoulder and asked if she could sit in my lap.
Oh boy! Wow!
And God crushed me that night.
Yeah.
He said, these are your sisters. These are your brothers. These are the lost. I don't want you to ever feel sorry for somebody because of their situation, but you need to feel sorry because they don't have the hope of Jesus Christ. And from that moment on, I still fall down. I still fail, but I'm trying to do what you sung in your song. Just change me, God, each day a little more. If that leads to Nepal or Haiti or wherever it is, I'll just be glad that God's willing to use me.
It's amazing. And it's just amazing what can happen when somebody says, you know, here I am, send me. And that's when I hear that phrase or when I read that phrase, you're one of the people I think of every time I see that. It's just, here am I, send me. I'm not qualified, but I'll go along for the ride. So you mentioned before about Haiti. What, besides the orphanage in Honduras and then also just finishing up a week in New Jersey, and
Yeah.
I mean, 5 minutes before we came on air, you're talking about going to Haiti, and I'm like, how much fuller can your plate get?
Well, Carpenter's Heart has got a lot going on in Honduras, but a year ago I did leave the phone company to go into full-time ministry, and God just opened a door at Trinity of Fairview, and it's been amazing to see the folks come on board there and just allow me to serve. And one of the things that God's been tugging is we can't just go to one place. He said to go into all the world and make disciples. It doesn't say just to go to Honduras. So to give everyone in the church opportunities to go somewhere where God's calling them. We're planning a trip to Haiti next December, and praying about a trip to Africa the year following. He's took me in the last year. We've been from Tennessee to Alabama to working right here in our own backyard to New Jersey, like you say, in Honduras. The lost is everywhere. It's not in one place, and if God's telling you to go somewhere, you should be obedient and go.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I'm just glad finally got you into the radio station so I could corner you there, and that's exactly right. You're stuck in the corner there, and I can ask all the the I want.
I'll admit this is completely out of my comfort zone today.
You're doing good, though, man. You're doing really good.
He's borrowed.
It's Luis. I've got my comfort zone
got
here.
your comfort zone. This still, here's a little tidbit from the past. When I took the trip with Andy and they were doing the groundbreaking, we took the trip to that state-run orphanage, and that's where you were translating there. And that video, or that piece of that video, is still floating around on YouTube somewhere. It's got a lot of views.
Yes, sir.
Really?
Yeah, it's got a lot of hits on it. But that's when I think of Honduras and you, that's kind of what stands out in my mind. How you kind of took charge. We were just like deer in the headlights. It's another country saying.
Yeah, I reckon.
Very good, all right. And I remember how you sort of took charge of what was going on there in the orphanage, and the director there, and kind of translating and navigating us into there, and me carrying a video camera. We're not allowed to carry video cameras, and that just seemed he seemed, God blinded his eyes to the fact that I was carrying a video camera, which was really cool. But what else? So you're translating, and what else is going on? As far as Honduras and the church there in Honduras, and how's God moving down there?
It's awesome. I actually God gave me the opportunity a couple of years ago to be the youth pastor of the church I go to, and so that was quite a challenge. Talking about leaving your comfort zone, I was probably 18 and a half when the Lord gave me that opportunity, and at first I just, like Andy, he was talking about this a while ago. I felt, and still to this point, I feel that I lack a lot of things, but in my insufficiency, Christ is sufficient.
Yes,
that's true. That is, I have my hands in the plow, and till I receive new orders from above, that's what I'll.
That works. That works. For youth in Honduras, what are some of the biggest challenges that they face?
In a nutshell, I would say we have a lot of problems with gangs.
Okay.
Back home, so we've actually, with our youth group and with our youth leadership team and everything, we once sit down and why we ask that question: why do kids from 12, 13, and all to up to 17 years old? Why is that thing that attracts them to be part of a gang? I mean, these guys get beat up. They don't treat them well, but we wanted to know, why was that attraction? And so we found out by asking lots of people who were former gang members, which, by the way, the only way that you can leave the gang is when you receive Christ. So that's the only, once you're in the gang, that's the only kind of like pass, that's how they call it, out of the gang.
So the gangs will, wow, that's fascinating. So the gangs will actually recognize
that
when someone receives Christ, that's an exit out of the gang?
Yes, and they have a great follow-up too, because if they see that you were
that you're not walking the walk,
they take care of you.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So
that's incredible.
But we got to the point of where we realized that the reason why kids wanted to join gangs, it's because they felt a sense of belonging to this group. They thought, or they felt that they belonged there. So we're trying to
Love.
yeah,
Everybody's
love,
seeking
exactly, and they felt like they were part of it. So we're trying to provide in our youth small groups environments in which kids can just be themselves, in which kids can just feel loved, in which kids can feel accepted, and first of all, that, and then lead them to Christ, because ultimately we want to lead them to Christ, not
Right.
just a touchy feely huggy thing, but we want to lead them to Christ. But first off, we want them to see the love of Christ in us.
Now, of course, here in the States, divorce rate is through the roof and all that. What is family life in Honduras as far as of those youth, mom and dad, and home life? What is that? I know it's hard to generalize, but of the ones that you see coming through your youth group,
A big pattern is teen pregnancy.
Okay.
And so it is really, really common. And I would say that is one of the factors of why there's so much orphans back there in Honduras, because there's a lot of my major is in psychology, and a couple of months ago we went to this hospital to kind of have interviews with teen moms, and it's just, I mean, it's astounding the amount of girls that go through that, and
Again,
that affects
wanting to be loved.
Exactly. They're
cause.
looking. I mean, they're searching the love that they probably didn't get from their daddy. They probably didn't. So they trying to find that in a man, and the first guy that comes in, and it's tough. It's tough, and I would say that affects a lot, and but with the love of Christ and with the power of the Holy Spirit, that can be changed.
Well, it's good to see you, and we just want to encourage you to keep going. And Ryan, I'm not sure, but I think God created a segue here.
Okay.
To do Always Been Love. I mean, this is just how this thing is.
Yes.
I didn't feel like we needed to do that song before, and now we just come full circle.
Yeah.
We're back to you, and you got the perfect song to
go.
to talk about that. So God is good.
Yes, He is. Here we go. First day of first grade, I was nervous and afraid. Everybody had lunch on a tray. I had a lunchbox. I opened it up. There was a note from my mom. It said, "I'm proud of you, son. Keep your chin up. You see, I've always been loved. Oh, yes, I've always been loved. Now I'm all grown up. Sometimes life is tough. I have days that are rough, but I come home to a beautiful wife. She puts her arms around me, kisses me so sweetly, asks me if there's anything I need. I'm reminded of my wonderful life, because I've always been loved. Oh, yes, I've always been loved. One day I'll close my eyes, it will be the last time, and by faith I believe that I will walk the golden streets, and with Jesus I will be for all eternity, because I've I've always been in love. Oh, yes, I've always been in love.
Praise God.
I never get tired
Praise
of that
God.
one either. Beautiful.
Thanks, Steve.
Beautiful. That's awesome. That's an awesome, awesome song. Well, guys, it's almost time to hit the stage. This is one of those interviews that I won't soon forget. I do a lot of interviews on here, but having the three of you here in the studio is just a really, really special moment for me. So
Me as
kind
well.
of brings together the past and
does.
also some of the optimism for the future and what God's going to do in each of your lives. And it's just a really special moment. So thank you so much. I've been looking forward to doing this interview and hanging out with you guys a little bit more. So it's been a blast. You're listening
for
to
having
95.7 The Choice. My guests here in the studio today have been Andy Plemmons from Trinity of Fairview and Ryan Larkins from Nashville and Luis from all the way in Honduras. And we're going to pre-record this and run it a couple of more times. But tomorrow you can catch Ryan at Trinity of Fairview. And you want to check out Carpenter's Heart. You guys have got a Facebook, right? And website and all?
Facebook or carpentersheart.org.
Yeah, and also check out Ryan Larkins' music. He's got a young family now, but I still believe wholeheartedly in my heart that God's got some tremendous things in your life
Yes.
musically. I mean, there's
Thank you,
just
sir.
no doubt about it. It's just all about his timing. And Luis, thank you again. Hope to see you in Honduras next time. I'll make the trip down to see you. So
Yes, sir.
we'll take it there.
Love to
Again,
see you.
thanks again, guys. You've been listening to 95.7 The Choice. We're coming to you live here from our studio at the Asheville Radio Cafe, right here at 81 Patton Avenue, downtown Asheville.
95.7 The Choice, where we believe a song can still change the world.